With all today's breaking news, WMC Action News 5 at noon starts now.
Now at noon, more than half of the boys' soccer team in Thailand has been rescued from the flooded caves. More on the rescue efforts for the last group of boys and their coach. President Donald Trump expected to announce his Supreme Court pick in prime time tonight. We'll have the latest on 4 possible contenders. And a vigil held at Tennessee State University to remember a woman who was killed in a deadly boat explosion last week in the Bahamas. How friends and family are remembering this mother.
Good afternoon. I told you there would be a few showers once we got to noon today, and that's exactly what we're seeing here right now. Showers popping up here on the radar for most of us. If we could get over to Max, we can track some of the showers on there. And it's not for everyone. You can barely even see these showers popping up now. No lightning in this. That's why I'm saying showers and not thunderstorms. But that rain moving through portions of Hardeman County, moving off to the northwest. So this is moving just south of Hornsby. Hornsby will be impacted by this soon. And it's moving towards Bolivar. So I put a track on this to give you a better idea of when this will be arriving in your area. Bolivar, probably about 12 minutes until this is knocking on your door. Whiteville arriving in 30 minutes, and then Hatchie probably around 36 minutes. We also have some spotty rain just south of Holly Springs and then in Holly Springs. And we have some showers that are also impacting spots like Early Grove and Lamar. Again, this is all pushing off to the northwest. So eventually we'll get this crossing over into Shelby County. This one that's sitting just south of New Bethel, will be moving through there in about 6 minutes. And then crossing over to Shelby County into Fisherville in 24 minutes. So I'll keep tracking this. Have another update coming our way in a few minutes.
All right, 12:01 is the time. Happening now, the second phase of the operation to free a youth soccer team trapped in a flooded cave in Thailand has proved successful. It comes one day after 4 boys were pulled from the cave after more than 2 weeks underground. Bill Neely has a report from Thailand.
Nightfall here and the operation is over for today, and it has been another day of success. 4 more boys freed, that's 8 in all, and freed by the same team that did it yesterday. The same extraordinary British-led divers who have this amazing technique where they actually carry or have a buoy underneath them with another diver behind, and all along the route those boys are supported by oxygen, by blankets, anything they need. And the boys themselves are wearing face masks for 2.5 hours. Remember, these are boys that have never worn face masks before. Most of them can't swim a stroke. They can float, basic techniques, but this is extraordinary in murky, submerged water. So a great success. Those boys are now being treated at the hospital. We expect that it will restart with the same team of 90 divers at around the same time tomorrow morning. Remember, 5 individuals down there, 4 boys and their coach still to be rescued. A really extraordinary, successful operation already. Back to you guys.
Developing at this noon hour, a hearing is underway in the murder case of 19-year-old Jessica Chambers, who was killed in Panola County, Mississippi back in 2014. Quentin tell us the suspect in the case stood trial October of 2017. It resulted in a hung jury. Today, District Attorney John Champion is on the stand after Quentin Tellis' defense attorney accused him of misconduct and ethical violations. In documents filed last week, Tellis' attorney, Darla Palmer, said Champion tried to pressure another one of her clients who's charged with capital murder in a different case into testifying in the Chambers case. Kendall Downing is following the story. He will bring an update later today on WMC Action News 5 at 5 o'clock. A Memphis grandmother accused of putting her grandchildren in a dog kennel has a court hearing set for later this month. Memphis police charged 62-year-old Liamam Cheeks last month after this video was posted on Facebook. It shows Cheeks letting her grandchild out of a dog kennel in the back of her SUV. Police say she admitted to driving from Whitehaven to Collierville with her 7- and 8-year-old grandchildren locked inside 2 dog kennels. She made a brief court hearing this morning. Will be back in court July 25th. Memphis police are searching for 3 men accused of invading a Hickory Hill couple's home. It started at a Marathon gas station here on Lamar Avenue Friday night when Danielle Bell's husband had his car stolen. Surveillance video at the Bell's household shows the men drove up in her husband's car, started the couple's other vehicle. The suspects didn't leave, though. A camera placed in the front here shows the men fumbling with the keys, and when they got the screen door open, one of the men pulled out a gun, headed inside. Upstairs, Belle woke up to the sound of their security alarm.
So when I get up, one of the guys was 4 steps to my bedroom, and I screamed out, and they fled. When those guys felt the need to come and violate me, that was really traumatizing for me.
14 seconds after coming inside, the suspects rush out the front door there with an Xbox in hand. They drive off in both of Belle's cars. Police say they haven't made any arrests in this case, but if you recognize these men, call or text Crime Stoppers at 901-528-CASH. A teen has been charged in connection to a shooting that killed one man earlier this year. Investigators say this man, 19-year-old Christian Key, is charged in the homicide of 23-year-old Christopher Smith. Smith was shot and killed March 28th in the area of Cognac Cove and Bordeaux Lane. Another man was also hurt in that shooting. Caught on camera, a man accused of attacking a woman in the Raleigh community of Memphis. Detectives say this man asked the victim for a ride. Back on Friday at Summer and Graham, she eventually became nervous, asked the man to get out of her vehicle on Austin P. Police say the man then showed a weapon, held a box cutter to the woman's throat, and then attacked her. That woman was able to escape by driving to a business on Covington Pike. Again, call Crime Stoppers if you know who this man is. Who will President Donald Trump pick for the Supreme Court? He's set to reveal his nominee in a primetime address tonight. And there are reports the list is down to 4 candidates. Here's Peter Alexander.
President Trump preparing to pull back the curtain on his Supreme Court pick, still building suspense ahead of tonight's primetime reveal.
I'm getting very close to making a final decision.
Not yet.
And I believe this person will do a great job.
A source with firsthand knowledge of the selection process telling NBC News the president's greatest focus is on appeals court judges Brett Kavanaugh of Washington, D.C. and Thomas Hardiman of Pennsylvania. But the source insists Mr. Trump hasn't ruled out any of the final contenders that also include judges Amy Coney Barrett and Raymond Kethledge.
Well, let's say it's the 4 people, and they're excellent. Everyone, you can't go wrong.
Some of those finalists spotted Sunday going about their lives on the eve of a historic announcement. The president over the weekend hosting Fox News personality Sean Hannity at his New Jersey golf club, also getting input from advisors, friends, and Senate leaders ahead of a fierce confirmation battle.
I think the president has to think about it. Who is the easiest to get confirmed here?
Behind the scenes, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell making that same argument to the president. This conservative ad already playing on cable TV.
Extremists will lie and attack the nominee. But don't be fooled. President Trump's list includes the best of the best.
Senate Democrats, including 3 from red states who supported Mr. Trump's first court pick, Neil Gorsuch, facing pressure to resist this one.
Obviously, each senator understands this is an historic decision. It'll decide the future of this court for a generation or more. And so I know they'll look carefully at each nominee.
Ahead this week, the start of early voting in Tennessee's primary election. It starts this Friday, July 13th. Primary elections for Democrat and Republican candidates for governor, also U.S. Senator, and all 9 of the state's congressional districts are on the ballot August 2nd. Party nominees will also be chosen for state legislative races. For a list of those early voting locations, go to our website, WMCActionNews5.com, or download our free mobile news app. Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant says he's getting closer to calling for a special session on infrastructure. He notes that he and legislative leaders were previously awaiting decisions from the Supreme Court regarding internet sales tax collections and sports betting. Governor Bryant plans to add state lottery to the special session agenda. He says it would boost the revenue stream needed for infrastructure improvements across the state.
It's somewhere between $65 and $80 million. If we're going to put a $200 million year in and year out budget together for infrastructure, which I think we can do, you're going to have a lottery as part of it.
As of now, no date has been set, but the governor expects to be in that session in mid-August. Friends and family, loved ones in Nashville are remembering Malika Jackson, an Atlanta mother who was killed in a boat explosion in the Bahamas. It's unclear this afternoon exactly what went wrong, but 10 others were hurt when the tour boat went up in flames July 1st, including Jackson's husband, who's still recovering. Matt Alvarez reports.
The boat, traveling off of the island of Exuma, roughly 130 miles south of Nassau, was carrying 12 passengers, including 10 Americans. Malika Jackson, originally from Chattanooga and a TSU grad, was also part of the Alpha Psi sorority, died in the accident.
Let's remember all the goodness. Let's remember all the love.
Today, her family, friends, and former classmates gathered on TSU's campus to remember her.
We're not trying to be sad today because she definitely wouldn't have wanted that. She was definitely a light, and we definitely don't want her death to overshadow her life.
She lit up a room. Indeed, you know, she go into a place, she lit up the room. You felt her presence, and she wasn't like, you know, overly aggressive, but you knew that she was there. She was with the man that she loved, you know, celebrating. So it's definitely unfortunate, and we will definitely miss her.
Thank you guys for...
Jackson's brother, Sean Brown, attended today's on-campus vigil as well.
She was an amazing young lady, a wonderful, bright spirit. Just all around good, loving, hard worker. She played hard, she loved hard, she worked hard, and she was an inspiration to everyone.
Jackson's husband was also severely injured in the boat explosion.
I know that my uncle deeply cared for her, and he was very in love with her. He did post a message on Facebook today that was very inspirational, just to thank everyone for the support that was given, and his condition is getting better.
Vigils were held for Jackson across the country, including in her Atlanta area hometown. She's remembered as someone who was also president of the PTA at her 12-year-old son's middle school. Investigators still trying to figure out exactly what caused the explosion. More Americans are beginning to work 2 jobs. The reasons experts believe more people are working longer hours. Summer thieves, why police are sending out a warning to tuck things away in their car, especially during the summer months.
And we have some showers showing up on radar right now. I'm going to track those and also tell you how long the rain's going to last today.
You're watching WMC Action News 5 at noon.
Developing this afternoon, the young soccer team and their coach who were rescued after being trapped in a cave in Thailand took part in a religious ceremony.
Yeah, today they're all preparing to be ordained as Buddhist novices or monks. NBC's Lucy Kafanoff reports.
This morning, meditation and reflection for boys lucky to be alive. 11 members of the soccer team rescued from the Thai cave, taking their first steps towards enlightenment, training to become Buddhist novices, while their coach will be ordained as a monk. Their Christian teammates staying home. They'll spend 9 days living in a monastery, a form of spiritual cleansing steeped in Thai Buddhist tradition. Their mission now, waking up at dawn for prayers and meditation, cleaning the temple grounds and fasting. It's a traditional Thai way of giving thanks for their safe return and praying for the soul of the Thai diver who lost his life saving theirs. Their days spent in terror, trapped in darkness by flash floods. Their coach teaching them to meditate to keep their spirits high and help them cope. Their extraordinary 3-day rescue mission was followed by millions across the world. The boys carried out on stretchers, flown to safety in choppers, hospitalized for days, now fully recovered, grateful to be alive and taking time to reflect.
They'll be living inside the monastery for almost as long as they were trapped. That's 9 days. It's considered to be a lucky number in Thailand. Now, they could have gone on longer, but as one boy's mother said, they have to study, they have to prepare for exams. There is a lot for these incredible teens to catch up on. Lucy Kafanoff, NBC News, London.
There are reports of what could be a crucial development in the ongoing nuclear negotiations between North Korea and the U.S. A monitoring group said satellite images show workers began dismantling parts of a key missile test site in the country's northwest. A nuclear expert with the group 38 North believes it's an important first step towards fulfilling a commitment made by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during his summit with U.S. President Donald Trump in Singapore.
Firefighters in Central California continued their assault of a large fire burning near Yosemite National Park. The fire in Mariposa County has burned some 36,000 acres. It's only 16% contained. Hot, dry weather, steep terrain have made firefighting difficult. One structure was lost. 2 firefighters were hurt over the weekend. Another 3,500 structures, remain at risk. Despite evacuation orders, many area residents refuse to leave and remain in their homes. More news is on the way.
First, though, let's see what Spencer Denton has to say about today's forecast in our First Alert weather. I think we give him The weather thumbs
up.
Yeah.
That's what I like to see. Hey, that's exactly what we want to see. And I tell you what, it's a fantastic afternoon out there across the Mid-South. Temperatures are in the mid-80s. It's 86 in Fraser, 87 in East Memphis, 86 in Millington, pretty much mid-80s back toward Cordova and Arlington as well. A little further out, 85 degrees in Memphis, and as you go further out even more, we're looking at 87. That's the warm spot up in Blytheville. This afternoon around 2 o'clock, most areas around that 87-degree mark. North wind at 5 miles per hour. By 4 p.m., 88. Hot but not too humid out there. And as we go towards 6 p.m., temperatures around 86 degrees. I'll have more on those weekend rain chances. We'll go hour by hour in the long-range futurecast model coming up.
All right, new developments this afternoon after that deadly confrontation, convenience store parking lot. A father fatally shot in front of his own family with the incident caught on surveillance camera.
Now, the shooter will not be charged under Florida's stand your ground law. NBC's Tammy Leitner is there.
In this surveillance video, an argument over a handicapped parking spot turned deadly.
He was just trying to protect us.
28-year-old Marquise McLaughlin, who's black, went into the store to buy snacks for his kids. That's when Michael Draycott, who's white, confronted McLaughlin's girlfriend Brittany Jacobs while she sat in the car. Jacobs says McLaughlin came to her defense, shoving Draycott to the ground. Draycott pulled a gun and shot the unarmed father of three.
He felt, after being slammed to the ground, that the next thing was that he was going to be further attacked.
Draycott, who has a permit to carry a concealed weapon, was not arrested or charged because of Florida's controversial stand your ground law, which gives people in Florida the right to protect themselves using deadly force.
If this were to happen in a state that did not have stand your ground laws, I believe that the shooter would already be arrested and would be going to trial for murder.
Stand your ground became part of a national conversation after George Zimmerman killed an unarmed black teenager, Trayvon Martin, in 2012. Zimmerman was acquitted of murder. As protesters demand action against Draycott, friends and family grieve.
I clearly don't think that it's right that you can literally gun someone down. 10 hours later, you walk in the street. It's not right.
The video now in the hands of the state's attorney's office to determine if the controversial law, in this case, will stand. Tammy Leitner, NBC News, Clearwater, Florida.
Well, new details this afternoon. Brock Allen Turner, Stanford student athlete, back in court today. He was convicted of 3 counts of felony sexual assault back in March 2016. His sentence was quickly reduced from 6 to 3 months due to good behavior. The judge in the case, who sparked widespread outrage by issuing a lenient sentence, was later recalled. Lawyers for Turner appealed his convictions, and the trial was rescheduled for today.
Survivors and families of victims of October's Las Vegas mass shooting are outraged over lawsuits filed against them by MGM Resorts International. 58 people were killed when a lone gunman opened fire from a 32nd floor suite at the Mandalay Bay, targeting concert goers below. MGM Resorts International is the parent company for the corporations that own Mandalay Bay and the Las Vegas Village, the site of the music festival. The company is not seeking monetary damages, but it is taking the legal actions in an effort to shield itself from potential lawsuits from survivors and victims' families. Regardless of the reason, the company's actions provoked reactions of anger and disgust.
It brings it all up again and takes me right back to being helpless.
I am really angry about the MGM. I mean, what gives them the right to do this again? To put us all through that?
Since the attack, upwards of 2,500 people have brought or threatened to bring lawsuits against MGM Resorts International and its subsidiaries.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels' husband is filing for divorce. Glendon Crane also filed for a temporary restraining order, which was granted. The divorce petition says there was a conflict of personalities and says Daniels committed adultery. Crane says no one in the adult entertainment industry should be around their daughter. He's also seeking sole parental custody. A hearing is scheduled for July 27th. Sean Spicer's new book is now available. The former press secretary's nonfiction novel is about his time in the Trump White House. The publisher, Regency, says the book will be the first insider account written by someone who worked on the Trump campaign, with the Trump transition team, and in the Trump White House. It's titled The Briefing: Politics, the Press, and the President. It's available for purchase now. Six-time Olympic gold medalist Ryan Lochte has been banned from competition by the United States Anti-Doping Agency until July of 2019.
An investigation was launched in May after the 33-year-old shared a photograph on social media of himself hooked up to an intravenous bag, writing athletic recovery with some hashtag IV drip. Lochte said the infusion was a B vitamin complex, but it wasn't what was in the IV bag that got him suspended. It was the amount Lochte got. According to the USDA's statement, Lochte didn't take any banned substances, but contravened rules about the use of IVs in quantities over 100 milliliters in a 12-hour period. The star swimmer exceeded that limit.
I think the biggest thing and why I'm here is I wanted them to know that I wasn't taking anything illegal. Everything was legal. You can get it at CVS, Walgreens, Public, like you name it. You can get it. They're just vitamins. But there are rules, and you have to obey by them. And I want them to know that, and to know that, don't worry, like, I'm not giving up.
The ban was backdated to May 24th when the picture was posted, so Lochte will miss the Pan Pacific Championships in August and the 2019 World Championships.
In other Olympic news, an Olympic milestone today, the 2020 Summer Games, now exactly 2 years away. Fans are celebrating in Tokyo, the U.S. Olympic Committee counting down to the opening ceremony with an event in downtown Los Angeles. Jay Gray reports.
2 years out, and Olympic excitement is building in Tokyo.
Olympic Games is the greatest sport celebration of the world and for the humankind.
One of the venues is already finished. Work continues on the rest, including the new Olympic Stadium, which organizers say is about 40% complete.
This will be the centerpiece of the 2020 Olympics.
Also getting a lot of attention, the new sports that will be a part of the Games, including sport climbing, surfing, and skateboarding, something Olympic veteran Shaun White was already thinking about after his gold medal in Pyeongchang.
I'm going to go put the snowboard in the garage and get my skateboard and see how I feel. I would love to live out my dream of going to Summer Olympics.
The pitch. Softball and baseball are also making a comeback in Tokyo, where the iconic stadium from the '64 Games still stands. A reminder of the city's Olympic history as it prepares to host the world again.
To see an Olympic Games return to Tokyo, it's a massive city that always has energy, and just add the Summer Games and the large size of everything involved with it on top of that.
The celebration has already started. Excitement expected to continue until the competition begins. Jay Gray, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, dogs only wear capes in cartoons, but new research suggests they really could be real-life heroes if their owners are in distress.
Erica Edwards introduces us to the science behind the Lassie effect.
People love their dogs, and dogs love their people.
Now that's just a fact, evidenced by my dog Luna here, who loves to give kisses. But does this kind of affection mean that dogs would come to our rescue if we were hurt, like a real-life Lassie?
The iconic canine TV star routinely saved his pal Timmy, referenced in the title of a new study of dog empathy called in part, Timmy's in the Well.
No, we didn't do anything with wells. We just had a door that was magnetized shut.
Emily Sanford is a grad student at Johns Hopkins University, but she helped do the research at Macalester College in Minnesota. Behind a closed door, dog owners either hummed a song or faked crying. Most dogs eventually went to their owners no matter what.
But the interesting thing that we found is that the dogs would open the door significantly more quickly if the owner was crying.
So there was an urgency when the owner was in distress. Sanford and her team also tried the experiment with therapy dogs and were surprised to find they did not act more quickly than other animals.
It's possible that because therapy dogs are trained on obedience rather than sensitivity to human emotions, that might be why we didn't find a difference there.
Ready? Go.
Even if dogs prefer to fetch sticks, They might also retrieve you if you're ever in trouble. Erica Edwards, NBC News.
New and next, feels great in the Mid-South, but some other parts of the U.S. experiencing some wild weather. Here what some on the East Coast are dealing with. Next.
With all today's breaking news, WMC Action News 5 Weekend starts now.
And good morning, everyone. It is 6 a.m. Thanks for joining us this morning for WMC Action News 5 Weekend. Today is Saturday, June 30th. I'm Brandon Richard.
Good morning. I'm Jerica Phillips. A beautiful sunrise here behind us. And over the past few days, we've actually been dealing with a lot of heat and some rain and a lot of humidity. The latest news is on the way. But first, let's check in with Nick Gunter in the First Alert Weather Center with a look at today's Saturday forecast. Good morning, Nick.
Yeah, good morning, Jerica and Brandon. Last day of June, if you can believe it, and it's going to heat up as we head toward this afternoon. Look at these heat index values right now. Not too bad out there. We're coming in the 70s. So I'd suggest if you plan on going out, maybe doing a jog, do it now because it's going to get quite hot as we head toward this afternoon. Here's a look at our dew point forecast. This is the amount of moisture we have in the atmosphere staying high over the next couple of hours. That means it's going to be very sticky, very humid as we head toward the afternoon. In fact, we do have an excessive heat warning for portions of Arkansas and Dyer County in Tennessee. That means heat index values will exceed 110 today. And then we're looking at the heat advisory for the rest of the Mid-South. That means our heat index values will be between 105 to 110. We'll track the heat, and if there's any relief from the heat today with showers, that's coming up in your First Alert forecast.
Developing this morning, neighbors in Olive Branch are waiting for answers after a gruesome discovery near a community lake. On Friday, police found a man's body at the edge of the water off Lancaster Drive. Joyce Peterson has the response from neighbors after they learned about that discovery.
Everyone's still asking questions. No one knows the identity of the gentleman, so we're just still trying to piece together different things we've heard.
For Marquita Valadez and her family, Friday was no ordinary day in the Lexington Crossing subdivision off Hacks Cross near Highway 78. This morning, Olive Branch police pulled a man's body out of the lake behind their house. OBP investigators say the body was badly decomposed. The victim's identity and his cause of death unknown, leaving Marquita and her neighbors with a lot of unanswered questions.
It's a little unnerving just because, we picked this area because it's really quiet. It's a great place to raise your family. So just hearing something happen literally a few feet from my house is a little scary.
And that was Joyce Peterson reporting. The DeSoto County Coroner's Office sent the body to the Mississippi Crime Lab for an autopsy to determine cause of death and identification.
A man who escaped custody from the Tennessee Highway Patrol has been added to the TBI's top 10 most wanted list. Joseph Ray Perkins, who you see there, was wanted for reckless endangerment and theft. And now, after escaping custody, he is also wanted for felony escape. He was last seen wearing handcuffs, a white shirt, silver shorts, and no shoes. Perkins is from Vance, Alabama, and is considered dangerous. If you see him, call 1-800-TBI-FIND.
Collierville police need your help finding a man who attacked a woman near a shopping center. Officers say this man here, in his 20s, assaulted a woman Tuesday night along Market Boulevard near Green Oaks. The suspect wore dark clothing and had dreadlocks. Call investigators at 901-457-2520 if you have any information.
A Memphis woman has been indicted, accused of embezzling more than $130,000 from an adoption agency. According to the Shelby County District Attorney's Office, Rhonda Eastham took money from Bethany Christian Services over a 5-year period. She's a former office manager at the agency. Investigators say Eastham used the business's petty cash account to write 245 checks made out to cash, which they say she kept.
Developing now, Shelby County election officials are changing course after controversy over the location of an early voting site. WMC Action News 5's Kelly Cook has the reason 2 locations will now be open instead.
As my grandmother would say, this is a hot mess.
Frustration runneth over at the special call Shelby County Election Commission meeting.
Which one did we close?
The biggest complaint, plans to open the Agri Center 4 days before other early voting sites on July 13th. The Democrats asked for the commission not to make a change in the middle of an election cycle.
Open all the sites just like you did for the primaries.
Election Commissioner Norma Lester made the motion for a compromise, which is to scrap the Agri-Center and instead opening Republican-heavy New Bethel Missionary Baptist Church in Germantown and Democratic-heavy Abundant Grace Fellowship Church on Shelby Drive for the additional 4 days. This is a party breakdown of the 2016 general election in Shelby County.
We have oscillated between the number of sites that we've opened and when we've opened them for a whole variety of reasons. And we found that if we're open for 14 days or 10 days, we get about the same percentage of voters anyway.
The board also added 5 additional early voting sites, 4 of them outside the 240 loop.
I don't have a problem with the Republicans having additional sites because the majority of the sites have been in the favor of Democrats. I just have a problem with the way this was handled.
The board voted on these changes when Democratic Commissioner Norma Lester was out of town and without the public's input. Many left this meeting disappointed with the outcome.
The Shelby County Democratic Party is emphatically against this decision, and they're going to hear from us at the voting booth.
And now, as Kelly Cook reporting, we also learned that the Shelby County Election Commission building will also be open for early voting. And just a reminder, all of your traditional 20-plus early voting sites will be open July 18th.
Well, speaking of having your voice heard, we should be learning more about how you can report potholes and other hazards on state roads in Memphis. Starting July 1st, TDOT will be responsible for maintaining state routes that run through the city. That list includes some major thoroughfares like Poplar Avenue, Union, Summer Avenue, and Walnut Grove, all very busy streets. You used to be able to report problems through the city's 311 website or hotline, but TDOT says it will be revealing a new process for state roads by Sunday or Monday.
Well, crossing the street outside the Central Library should be a lot safer. The city of Memphis is using a federal grant to install a crosswalk on Poplar Avenue outside the Benjamin Hooks Library. Now, people often cross the street there to catch the bus. Mata says it's one of the 5 busiest stops in the city. You might remember a car hit and killed a man in that area back on March 7th. Plans call for high visibility crosswalk, a pedestrian island in the center of the road, and flashing lights that can be activated by pedestrians. Construction on the $100,000 project is set to start this fall.
Well, take a look at this. The next generation of Memphis firefighters is getting some hands-on training. The fire department shared these photos of recruit class 106 practicing basic firefighting skills. You can see the recruits suited up in full gear to put out a fire in a metal shipping container. The group is set to graduate August 2nd.
Well, Big River Steel, a scrap recycling and steel production company in Arkansas, announced a $1.2 billion expansion. The expansion will double the production capacity at the Osceola facility. It will also bring in additional high-paying jobs and investments into that area. Construction is expected to start later this year and will take about 2 years to complete.
Customers with Entergy will be getting back over $300 million in benefits. The power company says this is a result of the tax cut passed by Congress and signed by President Trump last year. The tax cut reduces the corporate tax rate from 35% to 21%. Entergy's CEO says the company will reduce rates and provide credits to lower bills during the summer. Well, Bird scooters have officially been in Memphis some 2 weeks, but right now you can leave them anywhere. But there's a new proposal to create designated scooter parking areas. WMC Action News 5's Jessica Holly has the details.
After flying the coop in Nashville, Bird scooters landed 3 hours down the road in Memphis. And Memphians and tourists are in love with the new rides. There are scooters now parked on every corner in downtown Memphis.
Sometimes you see them just lay there and sometimes you wonder if they are charged off.
Next week, the city of Memphis plans to launch a temporary plan to clear up the confusion and create designated parking spots for the scooters.
My understanding is that Bird will actually set up what they call nests at each of these designated parking areas. So when people look on the Bird app, they'll be able to see this is the location to go to pick up a scooter.
We caught up with John Siebold from Nashville on his first ride since Bird scooters left Music City. Nashville booted the scooters after city leaders deemed them illegal because they often blocked right-of-ways.
Downtown Nashville's, to me, it's a little bit more congested, so you're running into people more. That was the problem they had. tourists were complaining and things like that.
Last month, Nashville's Metro Public Works began impounding scooters after finding them unattended on city streets, sidewalks, and other public areas.
One common complaint is cluttering of sidewalks, and Bird is really trying to be proactive in responding to those concerns. We're the same way.
A plan to keep everyone happy as Bird scooters nest into their new home in the Bluff City.
And that was our Jessica Holly reporting. Be on the lookout. You'll find 10 painted nests scattered along Main Street from City Hall to G.E. Patterson starting next week.
Grab some coffee and keep it here. New and next on the WMC Action News 5 weekend, the community holds a vigil for the 5 people shot and killed in that Maryland newsroom. Hear from the wife of one of the victims coming up.
And a rescue effort searching for a boys soccer team in Thailand cave. It's going to its 7th day. And with waters rising from heavy rains, they could be running out of time.
And temperatures are in the 70s right now, but it's going to heat up quite a bit this afternoon. We're going to track how hot we'll be.
With all today's breaking news, WMC Action News 5 Weekend starts now.
Ahead this morning, a mother and 2 young children are dead. It appears the mother intentionally drove into the Mississippi River. Plus, Memphis police searching for suspects connected to a robbery at a local convenience store. New video released overnight. And 2 former University of Tennessee players acquitted of rape. The reason behind the judge's decision. We have some breaking news just into our newsroom this morning. Reports from Memphis Police and the Memphis Fire Department that an MPD officer has been hit by a fleeing vehicle. Now, this happened just before 5 a.m. on North Graham Street. That's in the Nutbush neighborhood, not far from Kingsbury High School. Right now, police do not have anyone in custody. We're still working to find out if it was the officer who was hit by the car or if it was the officer's vehicle that was hit. But we do have reports of a very active scene. WMC Action News 5 is headed there to gather more details. Also breaking this morning, 1 man has been shot and killed, and a woman is in critical condition after a double shooting overnight. The Shelby County Sheriff's Office has not released much information at this time, but we do know that shooting happened just after 1 o'clock. You can see there. As of now, police have not said what led to this shooting, and deputies do not have a suspect in custody at this time. We'll be sure to bring you more updates as we get more information on this story on air and online at WMCActionNews5.com. Well, more news is on the way this morning, but first let's check on the weather on this tax-free weekend, as many people will be heading out to go back to school shopping. Nick Gunter has the latest on our forecast. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Brand. If you're heading out and about this morning, we are looking at the chance for some better weather in the forecast again today. We're looking at some highs in the 90s, and we're also looking at the low rain chances in the forecasts out there as we progress through the afternoon time. So as we make a look at our future cast, we are looking at the chance for maybe a shower in North Mississippi. But the good news is, though, we have high pressure overhead right now. That's going to limit rain activity through most of our weekend, but then we are looking at a wet pattern in our forecast as we make our way through the start of next week. That's when we're looking at a low pressure that's going to move in and bring us some showers and thunderstorms in that forecast. We're going to take a detailed look on what our rain chances are this weekend. They're staying relatively low, and the wet pattern for the start of next week. That's coming up in your First Alert forecast in just minutes.
Caught on camera, Memphis police are looking for suspects connected to a gas station robbery that happened on July 25th at the all-in-one Shell gas station there on I-40 in Whitten. Police are searching for 3 people in a silver 4-door car. 2 passengers got out of that car and went into the business. The first suspect, who was wearing a blonde wig, went behind the counter and began putting cigarettes in a bag. The second suspect went inside and approached the counter. If anyone has information on this crime, call Crime Stoppers at number 528-CASH. An update this morning to a story we broke last night at 10. A mother and 2 young children are dead after their car crashed into the Mississippi River. This morning, there are signs that this was intentional. It all happened on a muddy bank in Crittenden County, right next to the Hernando de Soto Bridge. WMC Action News 5's Janice Broach has the latest.
Supposedly it's over around Dacus and Robinson. I don't know if that's that pond or Dacus Lake or if that's actually channel into the Mississippi.
Crittenden County Sheriff's deputies trying to determine if a car actually went into the Mississippi River Friday morning.
Should be a black Jeep, and then you said it was a female black driver.
Sheriff's deputies had to drive on gravel roads and bike trails just to get to the location.
This vehicle was driven into the Mississippi River. We're right on the riverbank.
Right here on a bank of the Mississippi River on the Arkansas side, right next to the I-40 bridge. The coroner says a 26-year-old mother and her 2 young children were in the Jeep that drove into the river. You can see tracks on the pavement above the bank. On the bank, a car door and what looks like luggage with clothing in it. Emergency medical gloves are strewn around the area. In the path where the Jeep was pulled up the bank, a car mirror. Considering the area, it does not appear the car could have ended up in the river accidentally.
And that was Janice Broach reporting. Now, the coroner says the woman and children are from Memphis. Their bodies are being sent to the Arkansas Crime Lab. And at this point, it's not clear why the woman drove into the river. New details this morning. Jurors acquitted 2 former University of Tennessee football players who were indicted on aggravated rape charges nearly 3.5 years ago. The jury of 7 women and 5 men deliberated Friday for almost an hour and a half before finding A.J. Johnson and Michael Williams not guilty. A woman testified both men raped her at Johnson's apartment in 2014 after a Tennessee football victory over Kentucky. The team suspended both of those players less than 48 hours later, and they have never played for Tennessee again. A DeSoto County teacher has been arrested and charged with a sex crime. Former Lewisburg High School teacher Eric Beavers is accused of handing out sexually explicit material to a minor. Deputies say this comes in response to a complaint by a parent. At this time, we're working to learn more about this investigation. Federal investigators say they have reviewed audio and video recordings taken aboard that duck boat before it sank near Branson, Missouri. 17 people, including a father and son from the Mid-South, died when that boat sank last week. The National Transportation Safety Board says the camera system recovered from the boat showed the weather was calm when the boat sailed into the lake. But within minutes, white caps appeared on the water and waves were splashing the passenger compartment. Investigators say the captain made 2 radio calls for help. Developing now out of Toledo, Ohio, dashcam video shows the moments 2 police officers shot and killed a 25-year-old man who was under surveillance for armed robbery. Police say Lamar Richardson, who is a black man, was wanted in connection with 4 convenience store armed robberies since late June. They say Richardson was spotted in a stolen car around 4 o'clock Friday afternoon and led police on a chase before losing them. About 90 minutes later, police say Richardson reappeared, this time riding a bike, and led police on a foot chase before he was shot at 5 times. Police say it appears that the suspect was reaching for a gun on his waistband when the officers opened fire. Dashcam video shows an officer kicking the gun away from Richardson as he lay on the ground.
This may sound harsh, but we don't have to get shot at if we believe that we're a deadly force. The situation is at hand. This gentleman wasn't running. He wasn't trying to get away. He faced us. He was low ready. The officers saw the gun in the hand. They did what they had to do to protect themselves.
Police say Richardson had 5 warrants for his arrest for charges including resisting arrest and domestic violence. He had 28 prior charges in his criminal history. The investigation is ongoing. Well, this morning, Memphis police are responding to our questions about why police body cam footage is never released here after shooting incidents, even though other departments across the country routinely make that information public. Well, just Thursday night, Nashville police shot and killed a man who ran from a stolen car and allegedly had a gun. Within hours of that incident, Nashville police tweeted out photos of the officer, the suspect, and a weapon they say was recovered at the scene. But 3 months after a Memphis police officer shot and killed a man in the Berkeley area, no body cam footage has been released. The department tells us, quote, all incidents, whether officer involved or an incident involving a citizen, we will not release video relating to an ongoing investigation. There may be some situations when limited portions of redacted video may be made available. However, that depends on the status of the ongoing investigation. Early voting ends today in Tennessee. And as voters get ready to cast ballots next Thursday in some hotly contested Shelby County races, we wanted to know what's being done to protect your vote. WMC Action News 5's Kendall Downing explains the safety measures in place.
I tend to vote early just because less lines.
We found Scott Lillard casting his ballot Friday afternoon. Lillard says election security is critical.
I find it important that my voice is heard and heard correctly.
Shelby County Election Commission has made changes to some of its processes to beef up physical and cyber security. Some you'll see and others you won't. This policy, approved by the commission at its last meeting, puts in writing who is allowed where in the commission's warehouse on Nixon Drive. Electronic key cards limit employee access to certain rooms and track where they've been.
When we're doing tabulation, the people in the tabulation room, there has to be a bipartisan team. You know, not one party or the other can ever be in there alone.
Administrator of Elections Linda Phillips says an upgrade of the voter registration system in Shelby County is ongoing. It's being tested at many early voting precincts now. It requires two-factor authentication for employees, meaning a password and a card with a code that changes hourly.
It's very hard to hack into something that requires two-factor authentication.
As for the system that stores your votes, Phillips says that server is not connected to the internet, a basic practice of election security.
It's air-gapped, it's protected, it's safe, and you can't hack into what's not connected.
She says the county's IT team is always watching to guard against any threats. The voter registration system upgrade should be complete this September. In Memphis, Kendall Downing, WMC Action News 5.
And happening now, another weekend of construction closures on 240 and Poplar Avenue in East Memphis. This is a live look at that area. Remember, I-240 in both directions closed between the flyover and 385. Poplar Avenue is also closed where it passes over the interstate. Now, this is also that crews can continue replacing bridge beams. That work lasts until 6 a.m. Monday morning. New and next on WMC Action News 5 Weekend, dozens of students trapped in a powerful thunderstorm in South Georgia. How the students were able to get to safety. Plus, wildfires in California have now turned deadly, killing a first responder. We'll have more from the West Coast coming up.
And rain chances this weekend stay limited, but they're going up to start the work week. I'll have a detailed look at your first alert forecast and show you what you can expect minutes away.